everyone, good morning. In the previous video we were studying about the how the seed is formed. Okay, so now we will study how the fruit is formed. So fruit from the ovary. Fruit is formed from the ovary part. Okay, so the ovary, it will develops into the fruit and transformation of the ovules into the seeds. So seeds are formed from the ovules and ovary into the fruit. It proceeds simultaneously. So both the process, they will proceed simultaneously because they are formed. Final result, they should have to form together. So the wall of the ovary, it develops into the pericarp, that is wall of the fruit. Okay, so thus fruits may be fleshy, so for example guava, orange, mango, etc., or dry like groundnuts, mustard, etc. So the ovary, here you can see it will develops into the fruit. So you can pericarp, you can make the differences: exocarp, outer one, mesocarp and endocarp. Okay, some fruits may be fleshy and some fruits may be dry. Okay, so you can categorize the fruit. So this you should know. Then, so fruits are of two types. One is true fruit as well as false fruit. So in the true fruit, so how it is developed? It is only developed from the ovary. Okay, so other floral parts which will be there, they will just degenerate and only ovary will form the fruits. So example, most of the plants we eat, guava, the pineapple, the papaya, everything. But the false fruit is nothing but in this the thalamus. Okay, so it also contributes to the fruit formation. Example, apple, strawberry, cashew, etc. So here you can see the thalamus will form the fruit, or the whatever the eating edible part is there is formed by the thalamus, not from the ovary. So we call it and the seed. So endocarp you can see and mesocarp it is there, and then thalamus you can see the same thing in the strawberry also. Okay, see calyx, remnants of calyx and the lower stalk that we can see. Okay, so this is the example. So we call them as false fruit. There is another example. So in some species, fruits develop without fertilization. There is no fertilization. That means there is no fusion of male and female gametes. So in some species, fruits develop without fertilization. Such fruits we call it as parthenocarpic fruits. Okay, example, banana. So parthenocarpy can be included through the application of growth hormone such as seedless. Okay, so such fruits are seedless. You can see, you can now in some varieties, so we can induce the parthenocarpy and we can produce the seedless fruits, which nowadays sometimes it has become a fashion. Okay, so artificial things are now everybody is fascinating about, right? So sometimes the fruit by natural process also parthenocarpy occurs, and by the induced artificial process also parthenocarpy can be induced to produce the seedless fruit, right? So in example is banana. So why it happens? The fruits are they are developing without fertilization. So fruits develop without fertilization, we call it as parthenocarpy. And now we will study what is apomixis and polyembryony. So apomixis is nothing but the production of seed without fertilization. So example, some species of Astraceae and grasses. It is a form of asexual reproduction that mimics the sexual reproduction. So see the beautiful flowers of Astraceae with different shapes, colors. Okay, so development of apomictic seeds. So how they are developed without fertilization? So in some species, diploid egg is formed without reduction division. As we know, egg is a female gamete, so that should, so from the cell, so it should form, while the gametogenesis we have studied that it should form a single gamete, so it should be n in number. So by it should undergo reduction division, that means it should undergo meiosis, right? It should undergo meiosis to produce the n, and then the male gamete should fuse with the female gamete, then it will become 2n diploid, and then it fertilization occurs, and then it will grow as a new individual. But in these cases what happens is the reduction division 2n, it will not reduce only. Okay, so it will not reduce, and that will, in some species, the diploid egg, which is 2n, it will not reduce, and it will only develop into a new embryo. So in some species, diploid egg cell is formed without the reduction division and develops into the embryo without fertilization. In many species, for example, many citrus and mango varieties, some new cellular cells which are agreed to degenerate surrounding the embryo sac, they will divide, okay, and they will protrude into the embryo sac to form the embryos. See here, and thus each ovule contains many embryos in such cases. So occurrence of more than one embryo in the seed, we call it as polyembryony. So in example is citrus, we can see, we have seen, and some mango varieties. Okay, so what happens, the new cellular cells, whatever we have seen during the during studying the embryo sac, so that which will be surrounding the embryo sac, they will divide, they will only, the cells of new cellular, they will divide and they will protrude into a embryo sac. Okay, they will protrude into the embryo sac to form the embryos. So they will form the embryos, and then each ovule contain, that is the reason these each ovule will contain many embryos in that case. So occurrence of this process, we call it as polyembryony. So multiple embryo. So integument, nucellus, see here you can see normal embryo where it is present at the center, and here you can see the nucellular embryo. So here it is a endosperm and integuments you can see here. So importance of apomixis in the hybrid seed industry. So you can see you had so this is becoming a very big business right now, because everybody is fascinating about new varieties, right? So for that hybrid seed and hybrid varieties, we all are getting fascinated. So in the seed from hybrids are sown, if the seeds from any hybrid species that we have studied during the artificial hybridization, if there is a new seed from the hybrid, so if they are sown, the plants in the progeny will segregate and they will lose the hybrid characters. So whatever the plants they occur, they will lose the hybrid characters. So the production of hybrid seeds is very costly. So every time you are producing the hybrid seed by the pollination, that is very costly. Okay, so if you are sowing the seeds from the hybrid plants, okay, so if the seeds from the hybrids are sown, the plants which will cause, again it will lose the varieties, right? It will lose the hybrid character, and every time you cannot process by the artificial hybridization. So production of hybrid seed is very costly, so hybrid seeds are also very expensive. So if the hybrids are made into the apomixed, there is a no segregation, so then the segregation of characters will not happen. So if we undergo apomixis process, and so farmers can keep on using the hybrid seed to raise the new crops. So that is the importance of apomixis in the hybrid industry. Because as we know, apomixis is nothing but what? So without fertilization, the seeds are happening, right? So we don't have to do all the efforts to pollinating, all the techniques to produce the hybrid seeds. Okay, so if we adopt for apomixis, then what happens? The farmer can adopt them for easily. So if the hybrids are made into the apomists, then there is no segregation of the characters in the hybrid progeny, and so farmers, that means they are formed without the fertilization, so that they can keep using the hybrid seeds to raise the new crops. Okay, so this because seeds are formed without fertilization. So this, when you understand apomixis, you will study the advantages and importance also. Okay, so not just these, there are many other importance also. So thank you so much for watching the video, and if you really enjoyed the video and if you really like the concept, please click on like button and please share for your friends or whoever is in need. Thank you so much, and this ends the complete chapter, and we will proceed with the human reproduction in the next chapter, next video probably. Thank you so much.